Alright, so Brown Sugar by the Stones. This is another track off of Sticky Fingers, 1971. And this one was recorded at Muscle Shoals Studio in Alabama. Gotta Move and Wild Horses were the other two that they did there. It was in December of 1969. And if you click on that eye up there in the corner, or the link in the description box below, it'll take you to my website, and I always do a little write-up of the songs there, and I'll include a link to a really interesting article about Jimmy Johnson, the guy that engineered the session at Muscle Shoals. Really, really cool to read about how they got the sounds and everything. So have a look at that. Anyways, there's a lot of different stuff going on in this song. The rhythms, there's so many different variations, so I'm going to attempt to break down Keith and mix parts as best as I can. In my demo, I did the first verse, and then I skipped the second verse and went straight to the third verse. I skipped a solo and everything, but we'll go over that in the lesson. So it's going to start out up here. It's in open G tuning, right? Both guitars. So we want to tune our D string down, or E string down to a D, A string down to a G. Leave the D, G, and B strings the same, and tune down your high E to a D. Okay, and you're really not going to play that low E, and as you've probably heard a million times before, Keith was known for taking that right off the guitar so it didn't get in the way. Okay, so they're both in open G, and the song's in the key of C, so that's a C when you bar in the 5th fret. That's a C chord in open G, right? But we're going to start up here on the 12th fret, and we're going to do this here, where, you know, you're probably familiar with that shape, that C bar chord shape without the little finger. So we're fretting D14 and B, what is that, 13? And we're just going to go, right? Try not to get that high E string. We want to really emphasize that. Okay, then that's the first one. We got to mute when we do that, right? And I use up and down strokes because I've watched Keith play, and I don't know, using downstrokes with stuff like this, it makes it too stiff and mechanical. So you really want to kind of get in the groove and the feel of it. Okay, so that second one, instead of, it's da 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 da. So we've got, right? And then the last one, okay, it's different again. So there's 3 different versions. That last one is, and we let go of that 3rd finger. Da, 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 da. If the 2 string, the D and the B were played together, right? So it's all right, and then the very last one. And then that just slides up, okay, to that E flat. All right, so let's do that whole bit. Okay, and now we're going to go just hitting the G string on the 10th fret. Now we're going to hit the E string on the 6th fret, right? Now I know a lot of you guys are going, well, what the hell? You're supposed to be that. But if you really separate the channels, like Keith is on the left side, and you listen, really listen, you can hear that note. Right? You can definitely hear that G in there. Okay, so now we're going to go. Alright, that's there, and then little finger on the 3rd fret of the G. and then we're going to slide it up. Right? Now a lot of guys will go, right? But it doesn't do that because you can hear it sliding. Right? And then, not that. Keith's part doesn't do that there. It's just that one note. Okay, so far. Do it again. And that time we're going to go. We can emphasize that note. And that's Keith's part in the intro. Let's do that whole thing. Okay, and now mix part in that intro goes like this. You know, Keith is like. Okay, so just on the 5th fret of the A, open D, D3, D5, and then C chord, right? And then we're going to double up here, but we're going to go, right, do that da-da-da thing, right? And that's what mix part is, and that's the part that like 99% of guitarists will play. Okay, they won't do those traditional suspended chords that Keith is doing. They're doing that one, right? Okay, so do it again. Okay, and that's your intro. So now we're going to get into Keith's part from there. So. So, you know, the Stones, I'm sure every single time they play the song, they play it different. Every time they played it in the studio, I'm sure they played it different. There's certain parts that are always the same. Like the chorus is always pretty well exactly the same, but the verses are always different, right? And, you know, we're not going to go over every single variation, but I think the first verse one is important because it kind of locks it in. If you're playing this in a band, it'll lock it into your audience's head, you know, because they're so used to hearing it that way. So coming out of this, right, really sparse. So it's 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. We're going up to the F there, right? And then when we come back down to the C, we kind of double up the vocal. Okay, so. All right. So you might have to listen to that a few times to kind of get the feel of it, but that's what he's doing. And then when we get into the chorus, the first chorus is on the on beat, so 1, and it's just open G, right? Try and mute that low D string. And Keith goes, so it's, and that's a real short one, really muted. Right then. Right. So we're off on this G now, right? Moving on from that, we're going to get back into this, right? And that one has a definite different feel to it. Right? So he's doing things a bit different there. So and there's open, right? Play it one more time real slow. The best way is to just for me to play these a bunch of times rather than trying to explain them. And then it goes into the second verse and into the lead solo. The second verse is basically the same, coming out of this. Okay, so slowly that's off. The only on is the first time, right? The rest are off beats on that G chord, okay? So then we get into the third verse, and, well, actually, before that, we've got the solo, right? And the solo, he's doing it different again. So the solo, he's going to play like this. Right? So instead of one note, we're going to add this note here. And here too. Right? And you can either do that or you can kind of almost do whatever you want, right? But that's definitely what he's doing in the solo. You can mix it up, do whatever you want as long as you got the groove going, right? Now to end the solo, right? Okay, so that will take you into the next chorus. And then out of that chorus, and that is da, da, da. All right. So out of that chorus, going to go up on the 12th now, right? And just do that really syncopated thing. 1, 2. And then... And then we're into that, right? And that's just, it's this, but just down here, right? And the rhythm is, and that goes straight to the end, and the last one would be, last lick, because we're going to jump to the off when we hit that C. So right, and that would be the end of Keith's part. So now when we double back and we're looking at Mick's part, in that first verse, okay, he's going to do this coming out of it. So it's kind of like there's an acoustic guitar and a saxophone kind of going like that, right? But his part is just kind of right? So okay, then we head into the chorus, and that's, he's gonna kind of go da-da-da, and then that slide into 8th 4, open D, open G, and then hit the G again on D5. So then, so do, open G if you want, or you could go, you could just use the G there for the whole thing. I like to use the open G and end there. So Mick's part there is almost the same as the first verse. And it's a feel thing, right? If you're playing this in a band, you can basically do whatever you want as long as you're close to these variations. So in the third verse, he's going to kind of come out of it like... right? And then it winds up where they're both doing this. But Mick is kind of going to add one, so he's going to go. And then he's going to get into that famous so what we're doing there is just we're getting B3 and A5. Like, if we were in normal tuning, we'd do it there. But since we're in open G, we got to get this note here. Now move up to the C. Just keep repeating it. Then the last one is, so we are going to play that because that's now a seventh, right? The seventh of the chord. We're going to go. Right? And that's the end, right? So we're coming from this. Okay, and that's it. That's pretty well all there is to this one. And there's a lot, right? Of course, you know, in a practical sense, you're not going to learn every single little deal they do in this song. But for the purpose of this video, you know, it's really interesting to see the approach that these guys use with their rhythms, you know. So, you know, we've got... We got that one, and we've got... You know, we've got all these different rhythmic things going on. And it's really quite awesome. You know, this is kind of the magic of the Stones. It's just a way, I mean, they don't even really plan it, I don't think. It just kind of comes out that way. What does Keith call it? The weave, you know? Ton of licks in there to go over and get used to. And great song, you know, just awesome. And just really, really great rhythm guitar playing. Anyways, I hope you get something out of this lesson. Hope you enjoy playing this song. And we'll talk to you next time.